The conference room smelled of recycled air and nervous sweat. Ruth Okonkwo sat perfectly still while the Dravik commander circled her chair like a predator studying wounded prey. Around them, representatives from 47 different species watched in uncomfortable silence. Some had tentacles, others had scales, a few were just clouds of gas held together by containment fields, but they all wore the same expression: pity. "Your species has become soft," Grath said. His voice came out in hisses and clicks that the translator converted into something Ruth's ears could understand. 300 years of playing mediator, 300 years of peace talks and cultural exchanges. You have forgotten what strength means. Ruth kept her face neutral. She had practiced that look in the mirror for years, the look that said nothing, the look that gave nothing away. Her hands rested on the table, fingers laced together. No fidgeting, no tells. "The Dravik Empire requires those 5 worlds," Grath continued. "They sit on resources we need. Your colonists have 48 hours to evacuate. After that, we will claim what is rightfully ours." A murmur rippled through the assembled delegates. The Torvik representative, a being that looked like a walking tree, leaned forward. "Commander Grath, the Galactic Council does not recognize territorial claims based on military intimidation. Perhaps we can negotiate." "There is nothing to negotiate," Grath cut him off. "The humans will surrender or they will die. It is that simple." Ruth finally spoke. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "I need to consult with my government. 48 hours should be sufficient." Grath's lipless mouth curved into something that might have been a smile. "Of course, run home to Earth, beg your leaders to save you. In the end, you will give us what we want. Your kind always does." The session ended. Delegates filed out, some casting sympathetic glances at Ruth. She gathered her papers slowly, methodically. When the room was nearly empty, the Torvik representative approached. "Ambassador Okonkwo, I am deeply sorry. If there was anything we could do." "Thank you, Prelim," Ruth said softly. "I appreciate your concern. The Dravik are powerful, proud. They will not back down from this." "No," Ruth agreed. "I suppose they will not." Back in her private quarters, Ruth stood before her communication console. The room was small but comfortable. Pictures of Earth decorated the walls, forests, oceans, cities gleaming under the sun. She touched the screen, opening an encrypted channel that went directly to Geneva, to the building where humanity's true leaders made their decisions. The face that appeared was old, weathered by time and responsibility. Director Chen had led the Human Defense Initiative for 30 years. "Ambassador, I watched the session." Grath was quite theatrical. "He believes we are weak," Ruth said. "Yes." "He believes we will surrender." "Yes." Ruth took a deep breath. "Then I formally request activation of Protocol Winterfall." Chen was quiet for a long moment. In the background, Ruth could hear voices, the sound of other people moving, preparing. "You understand what you are asking?" "I do." 300 years, 300 years of peace, of building trust, of showing the galaxy we were different from our ancestors. All of that ends the moment I give this order. The Dravik are giving us no choice. They have made their intentions clear. 5 colonies, thousands of human lives, and after that, how many more worlds will they demand? How many more threats before someone must finally say no? Chen nodded slowly. "I will convene the council, but Ruth, you know they will approve this. We have been preparing for this moment since the day we joined the galactic community. We hoped it would never come." "So did I." "Winterfall will be active within the hour. Fleet Command is already moving assets into position. The Dravik will not see us coming." "They never do," Ruth said quietly. Chen's image flickered. "Ambassador, when this is over, the galaxy will never look at us the same way again." "No, but our children will be safe. Our colonies will be secure. And perhaps, finally, the galaxy will understand that peace is not the same as weakness." The connection ended. Ruth sat in the darkness of her quarters, thinking about history, about the wars humanity had fought against itself, about the weapons they had built, the tactics they had perfected, the terrible efficiency with which humans had once destroyed each other. About the day humanity had looked at its own reflection and decided to be something better. But better did not mean defenseless. Better did not mean helpless. Across human space, in facilities hidden on moons and asteroids and in the dark spaces between stars, systems began to wake. Ships that had waited in silence for centuries powered up their engines. Weapons platforms came online. Soldiers who had trained their entire lives for a war they hoped would never come received their orders. In the Galactic Council chambers, Prelim sat alone, reviewing ancient files. He had been studying humanity for years, fascinated by these strange apes who had somehow built a civilization that stretched across dozens of stars. Most of their historical records were sealed, classified, locked away behind encryption that even he could not break. But fragments remained, references to something called the World Wars, to weapons that could destroy entire cities in an instant, to conflicts that had killed millions. And then, suddenly, it had all stopped. Humanity had turned inward, had reformed itself, had emerged into the galaxy with open hands and peaceful words. Prelim pulled up one final document. It was a statement made by the first human ambassador to address the Council over 300 years ago. "We come in peace," she had said. "We have seen what war can do. We have tasted the ashes of our own civilization. We ask only to be your friends, your partners, your allies. But hear this and hear it well. We remember what we were. And if you force us to become that again, the fault will not be ours." The words had seemed strange at the time, almost like a warning wrapped in a greeting. Now, sitting in the empty chamber, Prelim finally understood what that long-dead ambassador had been trying to say. Humanity had not forgotten how to make war. They had simply chosen not to, and the Dravic Empire had just made them choose again. The shipyard orbited Neptune in absolute darkness. No running lights, no identification beacons, just cold metal floating in the black. Inside, Admiral Wei stood on the operations deck watching her crew work with practiced efficiency. They moved in silence, checking systems, running diagnostics, preparing for something that should have remained a nightmare. "How long until the fleet is ready?" she asked. Lieutenant Park glanced at his console. 18 hours. The fold space drives need time to charge. We have not activated them in 70 years. Wei nodded. 70 years. That was how long humanity had hidden its true military capability. Ships that could cross the galaxy in days. Weapons that bent the laws of physics. Defense systems designed by people who had spent millennia learning to kill each other with ever-increasing efficiency. All of it mothballed, waiting, hoping to rust in peace. "Make it 12 hours, Wei said. The Dravic are not known for their patience." In the Dravic Empire, Commander Grath stood before his invasion fleet. 200 ships, each one a masterpiece of military engineering. Plasma cannons that could melt through armor plating. Shields that could withstand nuclear detonations. Crews trained since birth to fight and conquer. The ships hung in formation around the Imperial station, waiting for his command. "My warriors," Grath addressed them through the communication network. "In 2 days we will claim 5 human worlds. They will resist at first. They will plead and bargain, but in the end they will submit. They always do. Humans are builders and talkers. They make art and music. They do not make war." Cheers echoed through the fleet. Young warriors hungry for glory, veterans eager to add another species to their list of conquests. Grath felt pride swell in his chest. The Dravic Empire had conquered 47 species in the last 2 centuries. Humanity would be number 48. What he did not know was that 3 human ships were already watching his fleet. They hung in fold space, invisible to conventional sensors recording everything. The pilots inside wore black uniforms with no insignia. They had no names, only call signs. Ghost 1, Ghost 2, Ghost 3. "They have no idea," Ghost 2 whispered. "Orders are to observe only," Ghost 1 replied. "Command wants to see their full strength before we engage." "Their full strength," Ghost 3 laughed without humor. "They think 200 ships is impressive." Back on Earth in the war room buried 3 kilometers beneath Geneva, the Human Defense Council gathered. 50 people sat around a circular table. Military commanders, scientists, politicians. Each one had been briefed on Protocol Winterfall years ago. Each one had hoped this meeting would never happen. Director Chen stood at the center. The Dravik fleet will reach New Brisbane in 39 hours. Our projections indicate they will begin orbital bombardment immediately. Civilian casualties could reach 200,000 in the first wave. What are our options? Asked General Torres, a woman whose family had served in Earth's military for 6 generations. We have 3 choices, Chen said. Surrender. The colonies negotiate or activate Winterfall. Surrender is unacceptable, said Dr. Kim, the representative from the Science Council. If we give them 5 worlds, they will demand 10 more, then 20. Bullies do not stop when you feed them. Negotiation? Asked Ambassador Lee. The Dravik do not negotiate, not truly. They make demands and expect compliance. We have studied their history. Every species that tried to bargain with them eventually surrendered or was destroyed. Then we have no choice, Torres said quietly. There is always a choice, Chen replied. But some choices have consequences that will echo for centuries. If we activate Winterfall, if we reveal what we truly are, the galaxy will never trust us the same way again. Better feared than extinct, said Admiral Gupta, who commanded Earth's home fleet. Better that our children live in a galaxy that fears us than die in one that pities us. A vote was called, 50 hands rose, not a single abstention. Humanity had made its choice. Chen activated the communication array that connected to every human military installation in the galaxy. His face appeared on screens from Mars to the outer colonies, from hidden bases to civilian defense centers. This is Director Chen. I'm authorizing Protocol Winterfall. All military assets are now active. All defense fleets are weapons-free. Rules of engagement are as follows. No Dravik military vessel leaves this conflict alive. No exceptions. No survivors. We gave them peace for 300 years. They chose war, so we will give them war the way only humans can. May history judge us kindly because the Dravik certainly will not. In the Neptune shipyard, Admiral Wei watched as her flagship powered up fully for the first time in 7 decades. The ship was called the Remembered Fallen, named for every human who had died in Earth's ancient wars. The hull was black, designed to absorb sensor readings. The engines used technology that the rest of the galaxy had not even theorized. The weapons had been built by people who understood that the purpose of war was not to fight fair, but to win absolutely. All ships report ready, Lieutenant Park said. Then let us remind the galaxy what we are, Wei said. Set course for New Brisbane, maximum fold. Reality bent, space folded. The fleet vanished from Neptune and reappeared near New Brisbane in an instant, covering 3 billion kilometers in the time it took to blink. They arrived in perfect formation, surrounding the Dravik advance scouts who had been surveying the colony world. The Dravik scouts never even had time to send a warning. Human weapons fired. The scouts simply ceased to exist, reduced to their component atoms in a fraction of a second. Admiral Wei opened a channel that broadcast across all Dravik military frequencies. This is Admiral Wei of the Human Defense Fleet. You have threatened our people. You have given us ultimatums. You have mistaken our kindness for weakness. This was your first mistake. It will also be your last. We are coming for your fleet. We are coming for Commander Grath. And when we are done, the galaxy will know that humanity does not start wars, but we always finish them. Commander Grath received the message while inspecting his flagship's weapons array. At first, he thought it was a joke, some kind of human propaganda meant to scare him into backing down. Then his sensor officer started screaming. Sir, we have contacts, multiple contacts appearing from nowhere. They are surrounding our advance fleet. Impossible. Our long-range sensors showed nothing in this system, just the colony and some civilian transports. The readings are confirmed, 47 ships, all matching signatures we have never seen before. They are not using conventional drives, they just appeared. Grath ran to the bridge. The display screens showed his advance fleet of 20 ships spread across New Brisbane's orbit, and surrounding them like sharks circling prey were human vessels. They were wrong. Everything about them was wrong. They moved too fast. Their energy signatures made no sense. They seemed to drink in sensor beams rather than reflect them. "Open fire on the nearest human vessel," Grath ordered. The plasma cannon charged and fired. The bolt of superheated matter crossed the distance in seconds. It struck the human ship and simply vanished. No explosion, no damage. The human shields did not even flicker. They just absorbed the energy like a sponge drinking water. "Status," Grath demanded. "No effect, sir. Their shielding is beyond our understanding. It is not deflecting our weapons. It is consuming them." On the remembered Fallen, Admiral Wei watched the Dravik plasma bolt dissipate harmlessly against their quantum barrier. "Return fire. Target their weapon systems only. I want prisoners who can tell there." "People, what happened here?" The human weapons fired. They were not plasma or lasers or kinetic rounds. They were something that the Dravik had no name for, beams of pure disruption that unmade molecular bonds at the quantum level. The Dravik flagship's weapons simply fell apart. Metal turned to dust. Energy cells became inert gas. Targeting computers melted into slag. But the crew survived. The hull remained intact. The life support kept running. Wei had given specific orders, make them helpless but let them live to tell the tale. "Broadcast this on all frequencies," Wei commanded. "Visual and audio." Lieutenant Park opened the channel. Every ship in the Dravik fleet received the same message. A split screen showing the Dravik flagship before and after. Before, it was a weapon of war, bristling with cannons and missile tubes. After, it was just a hull, an empty shell floating in space, and it had taken exactly 4 seconds. "You have 2 choices," Wei's voice echoed across every Dravik communication system. "Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded, or share the fate of your weapon systems. You have 60 seconds to decide." Grath stared at the screen, pride warred with survival instinct. He had conquered species before. He had seen fear in the eyes of alien commanders, but he had never felt it himself, not like this. Not this cold certainty that he had miscalculated, that he had made a terrible, irreversible mistake. "Sir, the other ships are powering down," his communication officer reported. "They are requesting permission to surrender." "Denied," Grath snarled. "We are Dravik. We do not surrender to prey animals. All ships full thrust toward the human fleet. Ram them if we must. Activate self-destruct protocols. If we cannot win, we will take them with us." But the other Dravik commanders were not as proud as Grath, or perhaps they were simply smarter. 19 ships powered down their weapons. 19 ships opened their airlocks and prepared for boarding. Only Grath's flagship continued to advance, its engines burning at maximum power. Wei sighed. Some people need to learn the hard way, disable his engines, leave him floating. The human weapons fired again. This time they targeted the flagship's drive system. The massive fusion reactors that powered the Dravik ship simply stopped working. Not damaged, not destroyed, just stopped. Every fuel cell drained, every power conduit. Severed at the molecular level, the ship went dark. Emergency lights flickered on, showing Grath's crew floating in zero gravity as their artificial gravity failed. "Board them," Wei ordered. "Medical teams ready. I want every Dravik on that ship alive and unharmed. They are witnesses now. They will tell their empire what they saw here today." Human Marines in powered armor crossed the empty space between the fleets. They moved with the precision of people who had trained for this moment their entire lives. They had not fired a shot in anger in 300 years, but their ancestors had written the manual on orbital assault. That knowledge had been passed down, refined, perfected. The Dravik crew tried to resist. They had small arms, boarding pikes, combat training. It made no difference. The human armor was too strong. The human tactics were too efficient. Within an hour, every Dravik on Grath's flagship was restrained in the cargo bay, breathing, uninjured, and absolutely terrified. Wei allowed herself a small smile. Status of the rest of the fleet. All 19 ships secured. Dravik crews are cooperative, no casualties on either side. "Good, send word to the main Dravik fleet. Tell them we have their advance force. Tell them we could have killed every single warrior, but we chose mercy. Tell them they have 24 hours to withdraw all forces from human space. After that, we will assume they want the same treatment we just gave their advance fleet, except next time we will not be as gentle. Grath was brought to the bridge in restraints. He looked at Wei with something between hatred and disbelief. You are prey, you eat plants and fruit, you write poetry, you do not fight like this. No, Wei agreed. We do not fight like this, we fight much worse. This was us being kind. This was us trying to avoid bloodshed. You are alive because we chose to let you live. Every warrior on your ships breathes because we decided they had value as messengers. Do you understand what I am telling you, Commander Grath? Grath said nothing. I am telling you that your entire advance fleet, 20 ships, hundreds of warriors, all of your technology and training and pride, was defeated in 11 minutes, without a single human casualty, without us even trying very hard. Now imagine what happens when we stop being nice. Imagine what happens when we fight the way we fought each other before we learned. Better, imagine weapons that make your plasma cannons look like children's toys. Imagine tactics that turn your formations into death traps. Imagine 300 years of stored anger being released all at once. Wei leaned close. Go home, Commander. Tell your Emperor what you saw. Tell him that humans offered peace and you spat on it. Tell him what that mistake cost you. Emperor Calvin watched the transmission 17 times before he finally accepted that it was real. His advance fleet, his proud warriors, reduced to prisoners in 11 minutes. The human admiral had sent the complete tactical recording. Every moment of the battle, every failed Dravik weapon, every effortless human victory. It was meant to be a warning. Instead, it felt like an insult. They mock us, Calvin hissed to his war council. They defeat our warriors and then send us recordings of our failure. This is unacceptable. His chief military advisor, General Court, studied the data with professional detachment. My Emperor, perhaps we should consider their offer. A tactical withdrawal would allow us time to study their technology and develop countermeasures. Withdrawal, we are the Dravik Empire. We have conquered 47 species. We do not withdraw from apes who discovered fire a few thousand years ago. With respect, my Emperor, these apes have technology we do not understand. Their weapons operate on principles our scientists cannot explain. Their ships appear and disappear at will. We should approach this carefully. Calvin slammed his fist on the table. Carefully? They have made us look like fools in front of the entire galaxy. Every species we have conquered is watching this. If we back down now, if we show weakness, our empire will crumble. No, we will mobilize the full fleet, 2,000 ships. We will strike at the heart of their territory. We will attack Earth itself. Court wanted to argue. He wanted to point out that overwhelming force had failed at New Brisbane. That technology, not numbers, seemed to be the deciding factor. But he knew his Emperor. Pride was not just a trait for Calvin. It was a survival mechanism. To back down was to appear weak. To appear weak was to invite rebellion. As you command, my Emperor. In the Galactic Council chambers, Prelim frantically compiled his research. He had spent the last 3 days diving deeper into human history, using every archive access code he possessed. What he found terrified him. Humans had not just fought wars, they had perfected them. They had turned killing into a science, had written treatises on tactics, had built entire philosophies around the concept of victory at any cost. And then they had stopped, just stopped. In the span of a single generation, humanity had gone from a species on the brink of self-extinction to peaceful explorers. It was unprecedented in galactic history. Species did not change that fast. Evolution did not work that way. Unless it was not evolution, unless it was choice. Prelim called an emergency council session. Representatives arrived confused and concerned. He displayed his findings on the central hologram. Images of human weapons from their past, atomic bombs, biological agents, kinetic bombardment satellites, chemical warfare, each one more horrible than the last. This is what they were, Prelim said. This is what they chose to leave behind, and the Dravik Empire is about to force them to remember. The Torvik delegate looked sick. Why would any species develop such weapons? These are designed to cause maximum suffering. Because humans are persistence hunters, Prelim explained. On their world, they did not have claws or venom or thick armor. They had endurance and intelligence. They learned to track prey for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. They learned to plan, to coordinate, to exploit weakness. They brought those same traits to warfare. Every conflict taught them new lessons. Every defeat made them stronger. By the time they reached space, they had spent 10,000 years learning how to kill efficiently. But they gave it up, someone said hopefully. They reformed. They gave up using it. They did not forget it. Look at the new Brisbane engagement. Quantum disruption weapons, fold space technology, molecular-level targeting. These are not things you invent overnight. They had this technology all along. They just kept it hidden, kept it ready, kept it waiting for the day someone forced them to use it again. Ambassador Ruth Okonkwo entered the chamber. Every delegate turned to look at her. She walked calmly to the human delegation's seat and sat down. Her face showed no emotion, no anger, no satisfaction, nothing. Ambassador, Prelim said carefully, the Council has received word that the Dravic Emperor is mobilizing his full fleet, 2,000 ships. He intends to attack Earth. Yes, Ruth said. We know our intelligence network is quite effective. You must understand, the Council cannot help you. Galactic law prevents us from interfering in conflicts between member species unless genocide is being attempted. We do not need your help, Ruth said simply. We tried peace. For 3 centuries we tried, we offered friendship, we shared our culture, we mediated disputes, we asked only to be left alone. And now the Dravic Empire has decided that our kindness was weakness. They are wrong. Ambassador, 2,000 ships will not be enough, Ruth interrupted. I am here as a courtesy to inform the Council that what happens next is not our choice. We gave the Dravic 24 hours to withdraw. They have refused. In 3 hours, their fleet will arrive at Earth, and they will discover that New Brisbane was a test. That Admiral Way was being merciful, that we have been holding back because we desperately wanted to avoid this. She stood and activated a holographic display. It showed the Sol system, Earth, Mars, Venus, the asteroid belt, Jupiter, Saturn, and beyond. And around each planet hidden in orbit, invisible to normal sensors, were weapons platforms, hundreds of them, thousands of them. This is what we built while we were being peaceful, Ruth said. Every trade ship that visited Earth also delivered components for our defense network. Every cultural exchange included weapons engineers. Every peace treaty we mediated taught us more about galactic military doctrine. We have spent 300 years preparing for this exact moment, hoping it would never come, but ready if it did. She zoomed in on Earth. The blue planet looked peaceful, beautiful, fragile, but surrounding it were ships, not the 47 that had been at New Brisbane, not hundreds, thousands, each one larger than anything the Dravic had ever built, each one containing technology that would seem like magic to the rest of the galaxy. This is our home fleet, Ruth continued. 5,000 ships, each one crewed by people who have trained their entire lives for this, each one equipped with weapons that our scientists have refined and improved for generations. The Dravic Empire is sending 2,000 ships to attack us. We will meet them with more than double that number, and we will send every single ship back as wreckage with a message burned into their hulls. Do not provoke humanity. The Dravic fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system in a formation that had conquered worlds for 2 centuries. 2,000 ships arranged in a sphere that could concentrate fire from any angle while maintaining defensive overlapping shields. Emperor Calvin commanded from the center, aboard the Imperial flagship Dominator. Around him, his warriors prepared for glorious victory. Scan the system, Calvin ordered. Locate their fleet. The sensor officer worked his console for several minutes, then several more. His confusion grew with each passing second. My Emperor, I am detecting significant mass readings throughout the inner system, but they do not match any known ship configurations. The readings are strange, almost as if space itself has more mass than it should. Explain that in terms I can understand. I cannot, my Emperor. I have never seen anything like this before. On Earth, in the orbital command center, Admiral Gupta watched the Dravik fleet approach. His officers monitored hundreds of displays showing every asset humanity had positioned over the last 300 years. The defense grid was active. The home fleet was in position, and every human in the system knew what was at stake. "Send the message," Gupta said. Ruth's voice, calm and clear, broadcast on all frequencies. "Dravik fleet, you are trespassing in human sovereign space. You were given an opportunity to withdraw. You chose war, so be it. What happens next is entirely your responsibility." Colvin laughed. "They threaten us with words. Where is their fleet? Where are their legendary ships? I see nothing but an empty system and one backward planet. All ships prepare to bombard Earth. I want to see their cities burning before the day is done." That was when the stars disappeared. Not literally, but every sensor on every Dravik ship suddenly went dead. Blind. The defensive formation that relied on ships communicating with each other, coordinating shields, supporting each other, fell apart. Each ship became an isolated unit floating in the dark. "What is happening?" Colvin screamed. "Unknown, my Emperor, some kind of jamming field. It is affecting our sensors, our communications, even our targeting computers. We are operating on backup systems only." Then the lights appeared, thousands of them. Human ships dropping their stealth systems all at once, materializing out of nothing. They were everywhere, above the Dravik fleet, below it, inside the formation, surrounding every single Dravik vessel with 3 or 4 human ships each. "Defensive maneuvers," Colvin ordered. But without communications, the order reached no one. He watched in horror as his fleet, his magnificent coordinated war machine, became 2,000 isolated targets. The human attack was surgical. They did not fire at random. They did not waste ammunition. Each human ship had specific targets, specific objectives. They used precision weapons that cut through Dravik shields like paper, but they did not destroy. They disabled. They targeted engines, leaving ships stranded. They targeted weapons, leaving ships helpless. They targeted life support just enough to force emergency protocols, but not enough to kill anyone. In 15 minutes, half the Dravik fleet was dead in space. Not destroyed, disabled, floating helplessly while human ships moved to the next target. Colvin watched his tactical display flicker and die. Watched his mighty empire's fleet being methodically taken apart like a child's toy in the hands of an engineer. "This is impossible. 2,000 ships, our best warriors, our finest technology." His communication officer managed to restore short-range communications. "My Emperor, we are receiving a message. Audio only. It is the same voice from before." "Play it." Ruth's voice filled the bridge. "Emperor Colvin, you are losing this battle, not because your warriors lack courage, not because your technology is inferior, though it is. You are losing because you made the fundamental mistake of confusing peace with weakness. Humans did not forget how to wage war. We became experts at it, masters of it. We just chose not to use that knowledge until you forced our hand." "I will see your planet in ruins," Colvin snarled at the speaker. "No, you will not. Because you see, Emperor, we are not just defending our home. We are teaching you a lesson that will echo through the Dravik Empire for 1,000 years. The lesson that humanity does not start wars, but we always finish them." The human fleet stopped its attack. 2,000 Dravik ships floated helpless in space, not destroyed, not vaporized, simply disabled, powerless. And surrounding them were 5,000 human vessels, each one capable of ending this fight in an instant. "You have a choice now," Ruth continued. "You can surrender, you can order your fleet to stand down, accept our terms, and begin the long process of repairing the damage your pride has caused. Or you can refuse, and we will show you what we have been holding back. We will show you the weapons we developed when we thought our enemies were each other, when we had no limits, no mercy, no restraint. We will give you a demonstration of what humanity is capable of when we truly want to hurt someone. The choice is yours, Emperor. Choose wisely." Colvin looked around his bridge, at his officers who had believed they were invincible, at his warriors who had thought humans were prey. at the tactical displays showing his entire fleet helpless and at the mercy of an enemy they had underestimated catastrophically. Pride told him to refuse, to spit in their faces, to choose death over dishonor. But underneath the pride was something else, something Colvin had never felt before in his entire life. Fear, real, genuine, paralyzing fear. "We surrender," he whispered. "Louder, Emperor, so the galaxy can hear you." Colvin activated the emergency broadcast system that would reach every Dravik ship, every Dravik world, every Dravik citizen. His voice shook. "This is Emperor Colvin. I am ordering all Dravik forces to stand down. We surrender to the human fleet, effective immediately." The human ships did not celebrate. They did not gloat. They simply maintained position, professional and calm, waiting for the next order, because this was not victory to them. This was a task completed, a problem solved, a threat neutralized. This was humans doing what humans did best, planning, adapting, winning. Admiral Gupta allowed himself one moment of satisfaction before beginning the next phase. The hard part was not winning battles. It was winning the peace that followed. And humanity had 300 years of practice at that too. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, the Galactic Council chambers were fuller than they had ever been in recorded history. Every member species had sent representatives. Some came out of curiosity, others came out of fear. All of them came to witness what would happen next. Emperor Colvin stood in the center of the chamber in restraints. The once proud ruler of the Dravik Empire now wore the simple gray clothing of a prisoner. His scales had lost their luster. His eyes had lost their fire. Around him stood human guards in dress uniforms. They were not there to threaten. They were simply there. Reminder of what had happened when the Dravik chose violence. Ambassador Ruth Okonkwo presented the terms. She spoke without anger or triumph, just facts, clear and undeniable facts. The Dravik Empire's military has been completely dismantled, every warship disabled or destroyed, every weapons platform deactivated, every military installation rendered inoperable. This was accomplished in 90 days without a single civilian casualty. Murmurs rippled through the assembled delegates. 90 days. An empire that had conquered 47 species brought to its knees in 90 days. Emperor Colvin will stand trial for war crimes, specifically for ordering attacks on civilian populations, Ruth continued. The Dravik people themselves will not be punished. They are victims of their leadership's poor decisions. However, the empire as a political entity is dissolved. The Dravik species will be placed under Galactic Council supervision for 1 generation. During this time, they will learn to coexist peacefully with other species. Colvin finally spoke. His voice was small, broken. "You could have destroyed us. Your weapons could have turned our worlds to glass. Why did you not?" Ruth looked at him with something that might have been pity. "Because we are not you, Emperor. We remember what it is like to be on the losing side of a war. We remember what it is like to see our cities burn. We chose a different path. We chose to be better than our worst instincts. We tried to teach that lesson through peace. You refused to learn, so we taught it through war. But even in war, we do not become monsters. We win. We disarm our enemies. We protect the innocent. And then we help rebuild." Prelim stood from his seat. "Ambassador, the Council must address the obvious question. Humanity has revealed military capabilities far beyond anything we imagined. You have fold space travel, quantum weapons, stealth systems, defensive networks that span entire solar systems. How long have you had this technology?" "From the beginning," Ruth said simply. "When we joined the galactic community 300 years ago, we already had all of it. We built most of it during our last major conflict before we reformed ourselves. We kept it secret because we hoped we would never need to use it. We wanted to be known for our art, our philosophy, our diplomacy, not our weapons." "But you were never weak," Prelim said, "all this time. You were the most powerful military force in the galaxy, and you let us believe otherwise." "Yes. Why?" Ruth was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft but clear. "Because power without restraint is tyranny, because strength without wisdom is brutality, because we learned at great cost that the ability to destroy is not the same as the right to destroy. We wanted to build something better. A galaxy where disputes were solved with words, not weapons, where different species could learn from each other, grow together, prosper together. The Dravic Empire forced us to abandon that dream, at least temporarily. She turned to address the full council. Let me be very clear. What you saw at New Brisbane and Earth was humanity showing restraint. We used the minimum force necessary to achieve our objectives. We disabled rather than destroyed. We captured rather than killed. This was us being careful, being measured, being the species we chose to become. But make no mistake, if another species threatens us, if another empire decides to test our resolve, we will respond the same way, not with threats. Not with warnings, with action, swift, decisive, and overwhelming. A delegate from a small, peaceful species raised a tentacle. Are you threatening the entire galaxy? No, Ruth said. We are making a promise. We will never start a war. We will never invade. We will never conquer. But we will always defend ourselves and our allies. We will always protect the innocent. And we will always finish what others start. The choice of peace or war is always yours to make. Choose carefully. The Council voted on the human accords, recognition of humanity's military supremacy, acceptance of their terms for the Dravic Empire, establishment of protocols for future conflicts. The vote was unanimous, not because every species agreed with humanity's methods, but because every species understood that disagreeing was pointless. After the session, Prelim approached Ruth privately. I have been compiling a historical record. With your permission, I would like to publish it. A comprehensive look at human history, your wars, your weapons, your evolution from self-destructive species to guardians of peace. I believe the galaxy needs to understand what you truly are. Ruth considered this. What will you call it? The Sleeping Dreadnought, Understanding Humanity. That is a good title. Yes, publish it, let the galaxy understand. We have nothing to hide anymore. Our secrets kept us safe while we built trust. Now our strength keeps us safe. Better that everyone knows the truth. Prelim bowed. I have one final question. The Battle of Earth, your fleet, your weapons, your tactics, all of it was impressive, but I noticed something in the tactical data. Your fleet was only at partial deployment. Many of your weapons platforms never fired. Many of your ships never engaged. Why? Ruth smiled slightly. It was not a warm smile. It was the smile of someone holding a secret. Because Admiral Gupta believed that showing our full strength would be unnecessarily intimidating, we used approximately 30% of our available forces at Earth. Prelim felt his exoskeleton go cold. 30%. Yes, the galaxy does not need to know everything about our capabilities, just enough to understand that provoking humanity is a mistake that leaves no survivors, at least no military survivors. We will always spare civilians. We will always show mercy where mercy is possible, but to those who threaten us, who attack our people, who mistake our kindness for weakness, to them we show why the galaxy issued a warning: never provoke humanity. She walked away, leaving Prelim standing alone with a truth that would keep him awake for many nights. Humanity had defeated the Dravic Empire with 1/3 of their strength, and somewhere out there, hidden in the dark spaces between stars, were weapons and ships and capabilities that the galaxy had not yet seen, and with luck would never need to see. The age of human peace had ended, but it had been replaced by something equally valuable: the age of human protection, and the galaxy, for better or worse, would have to learn to live with that.